This boss is Chimaerus. This is the Dream Rift boss, the one boss raid. This boss is projected to be somewhere between second to fourth boss. Based off of early interviews, Blizzard has mentioned that this should be the fourth boss, but we will have to see tuning to determine that. This is a very ad focused fight. I don't think anyone should be on single target talent unless we really struggle with killing the big ad. For this boss, we will be splitting the raid into two groups. We'll use our usual stuff of groups on the left half or group 1, groups on the right half or group 2. So on Mythic, this would be group 1 and 2, or going down first, and groups 3 and 4 going down second. On Heroic, this would be groups 1, 2, 3 going down first, groups 4, 5, 6 going down second. Alright. We're going to go into this boss fight. Boss is going to start off with summoning ads, and then it's going to go into immediate tank buster. This is a 1.1 million physical hit on the tank, and it is 1.5 million shadow damage split amongst everyone. That's specific for Mythic. On Heroic and normal, the values will be a lot lower. So we'll be sending roughly half the way down with the tank to make sure that the tank doesn't peel up. The tank should treat this the same as they did with Conquer Silks from Nexus King. It does roughly similar levels of damage. When you go downstairs, you'll be downstairs for 40 seconds, and you have a 9-second debuff preventing you from going downstairs 2 times in a row. When you go downstairs, you're going to see all these ads. Make sure that you accidentally grab aggro on any of these ads. You're not dragging them into the boss. If these ads touch the boss will consume their HP and gain a 100% damage buff for the remainder of the fight, but each added each, which is almost a guaranteed wipe. So make sure that you move away from the boss, and then you gotta always do something to help the tank gather up the ads. You do not want to nuke these ads immediately. You'll notice that all of these have a shield, and they all start around 64% HP. When this shield breaks, these ads will be transferred upstairs. And the other stuff is when they also die, they leave a void zone, as you can see right here. So preferably you let the tank gather them up, group them up, and drag them further away. If you're certain that you don't have aggro on any of the ads, I would recommend just staying on the boss, hit it for a tiny bit, wait for the tank to gather and drag it to wherever they would like. I would probably say don't have them be in the direct middle. Have them be a little bit away from the middle, but not that much. If they have to be in the middle, they have to be in the middle. That's totally fine. You don't have to drag them complete opposite direction either. This big ad, the Colossal Horror, this ad must be tanked by the tank. It has a lot more HP. You'll see that it's at 39% instead of 64% like these forms. This one does have a tank buster. This is 1.5 million damage. I believe it's 900 physical, 600 shadow, and it all happens in the span of 1 second. So whichever tank is currently downstairs, make sure this Colossal Strike, you do have something in mind. And that number is Mythic values, no one heroic or yellow, of course. Right here, this is the heroic mechanic. So on normal mode, these void zones will by default be cleared by the boss at some point. On heroic, the boss no longer clears it for us. We have to clear it ourselves. 2 people upstairs are going to get this circle, and they're going to walk over to the void zone. It just needs to touch the edge. You don't have to be inside the void zone like they're currently doing. And then you'll get dispelled. If you have this mechanic, you should most likely hit a defensive, or at the very least watch your HP and be ready to use a health pot or health stone in the event that you're just taking down a lot. But healers, make sure that you're aware of where they're going. I would prefer voice comms to an extent for this dispel mechanic. If you don't want to use voice comms, you can get ways to self-dispel like Dwarf, or you will just ping yourself to notify that you're ready to be cleared. And healers, make sure you also don't dispel immediately, because the person who's inside the circle and anyone else caught in the circle will get a knockback. If if this mechanic is at the boss, you might just knock Mellows off the arena. See, they're calling off void zones, and eventually this class 4 is going to go upstairs. And then when they're upstairs, there's no tank aggro, they'll be fixated to the boss. Tank, you'll move the boss around as needed. For everyone else, your goal is to kill them. You're able to CC the small ones. I don't believe you're able to CC this colossal horror. So chances are it's the small ads or CC'd by the raid and killed. And this big ad will be kited by the tank as needed. So whoever the upstairs tank is, you need to recognize where your upstairs ad is. And we'll see how that works in a short bit. That's right here, you can see this tank is starting to drag it away because I'm noticing this colossal isn't exactly dying on time. And we'll go into another tank buster. One stuff to know about this tank buster, always try to have this tank buster towards the middle of the room. Don't ever have this tank buster be towards the edge of the room, because there are a few ads that get summoned through this tank buster. And if you're near the edge of the room, there's a good chance that one of the ads will just spawn on top of the boss. So they move it around. As for upstairs mechanic, this is the rot damage for the upstairs mechanic. I think it also hits downstairs. See all these ads pop up, and they're going to focus on them. And potentially CC. Right here, this is a little bit off to see. This is a frontal that the boss is casting. It'll put a bleed. This is targeted at a random player. So anyone who is near melee range, you need to be ready to dodge out of this frontal. If you want it easier and your range, just outrange the boss, and then the boss will never target you, and the cone isn't far enough that you'll get clipped by this bleed. Right. You can see here they're just focusing on these tiny ads. Now right here, this boomkin is going to get the spell mechanic. They're going to run into the spell. The healers decide to dispel the evoker instead. But you notice right here, this boomkin does not step into the void zone. There's no reason for you to take extra damage. And also trying to clear multiple areas. And then they're just waiting for the big ad to pop up. And then at some point they're going to dispel this boomkin to clear both void zones. You see the boomkin is doing the option 3 that I mentioned earlier. They ping themselves saying, hey, the big ad's void zone has spawned. I'm good to clear. You can go ahead and get off me. Alright. And after the second set of ads, the boss is going to start casting Consume. This is going to attempt to pull in any remaining mobs, and at the very end of this cast, he will just consume whatever's left up. Even if they don't touch him, they'll just be sucked all the way in. You get a knockback. And then we go into the intermission. So after he moves in a short bit, the boss is going to gain a 99% damage reduction. There's no point in hitting the boss except for resource generation. And he's just going to constantly dive through the field, creating void zones and summoning the ads. These ads are fully upstairs. Tanks, make sure you're alternating who takes the colossal horror based off of your defensives. And then we're just clearing the field while killing ads. And then what we're aiming to do is right around here, you're going to notice this is a different icon. It's coming up in 4 seconds. This is going to be the boss slamming down into, actually hold on, I'm boosted. It's this icon over here. So right here, boss is casting Ravenous Dive. This is going to consume any ads that are still left up. And again, boss will heal for however much HP they have, and we're getting 100% damage buff. And that's the fight on Heroic. So this fight is very much just a constant. You're constantly dealing with ads. If you're upstairs, it's not like you get full single target. You start on the boss, you wait for the ads to spawn upstairs, and then you hard swap to the ads upstairs. If you're downstairs, you can stay on the boss a little bit while your tank is gathering the ads, and then you're swapping to the ads because you want to send the ads as quick as you can upstairs. There is one heroic ad. I believe it might also be on normal. This Haunting Essence. It has one really bad cast, this feels some cry. This will feel everyone for 4 seconds if the cast goes off. Do make sure that we're paying attention to that. But aside from that, it's just a bullet spammer. So if you have a choice, at least one person should always save their kick for the fail, and then the rest can just be on essence wallet. But realistically, it's not going to cast all that much. I believe it should just be one cast of the fail, and then maybe 3 casts of the bullet, and then you should send it upstairs, and then it's no longer casting. Right. Now we're going on to the Mythic fight. So, Mythic has quite a number of stuff. There's a good chance that this will most likely be a Mythic Fog boss. I get a feeling that it's probably going to be 2 Electricity Sticks, or a Sprocket, where we should expect a good chunk of pulls. Don't expect another Rasanon. So, really first gimmick, you really notice that it feels a little bit awkward that, or a little bit different that these groups are split. If you're within 8 yards of someone in the opposite realm, both of you will start taking 100k ticks every 3 seconds, I believe it is. It might be a little bit sooner than that. And this does go up based off of the number of people. So if it's 2 people upstairs and 1 person downstairs, that downstairs person is taking 200k per tick. So unlike on the one heroic where you can kind of be all over the place, on Mythic, you need to be with your group and you can't just be crossing over into the other group. So that's the very first stuff to be aware of on Mythic, that there is rot damage if you approach the other side. Now, you do have to deal with this rot damage at some point. This isn't something that is just cosmetic, so oh, someone messed up. Right here, so 2 people are CC downstairs. They can't do anything downstairs, except for hitting defensives, I believe. In order for these people to be saved, 2 people from upstairs have to step into the circle and go downstairs. This does not change which group you're going downstairs with. What group you go downstairs with is entirely dependent on your one debuff. This is just you're temporarily swapping upstairs to downstairs or downstairs to upstairs. So Banch is going to step into this. So he's going to be swapping downstairs. The person he's standing on will be swapped to upstairs. Do notice how much ticking this is? So like, there's 2 people here. There's 2 people upstairs, 2 people downstairs. Just look at this raw damage tick, 200k ticks constantly. Like he's popping Survival of the Fittest, just to survive it. He also, I believe, popped Exhale partway through it. That was for, okay, this was for the Dispel mechanic. So he popped Exhale for that, and then he's popping Survival of the Fittest partway through this, just because 200k is a lot of damage to be taking constantly. Now he's downstairs. The downstairs group has already killed the lad, so he's just attacking the boss. And again, downstairs people are on this side of the room, upstairs people on this side of the room. We might swap this. It really depends on which way we decide to rotate around the room. We'll most likely stick with this configuration because this is just rotating around the room clockwise, because the upstairs people have to drag the boss away from the big ad, and if the upstairs people are clockwise, then they should be on the right side if you're looking from the middle to the edge of the room. So they go ahead and do this. And then is it going to be a repeat? Benches does not go downstairs for whatever reason. It's probably for damage reasons, like it's better for Benches to be upstairs for damage on the boss or something. Maybe he doesn't do a whole lot on the ads, which is always a possibility that we could do. Right, so again, people are swapping to the downstairs to save those people, and those people downstairs swap upstairs. And then we're going to go into the intermission, and this is where the groups are going to get flip-flopped in terms of P1 after the intermission. When we're going into the intermission, after this consume knockback, the boss is going to start off with the tank buster, and he's going to send half the way downstairs. And instead of the ads only spawning upstairs, they'll now spawn half upstairs, half downstairs. So both groups need to have an even split of DPS. Because this first intermission will be group 1 going downstairs. Second intermission will be group 2 being downstairs during the intermission. You see, yeah, it's kind of just spawn wherever. There's not really a full set stuff for which ones pop up upstairs and which pops up downstairs. Just make sure that you're not all the way in the middle, because both teams are going to be there. Both teams will be cleaving each other with their 8-yard stuff. You don't want to add to that, because most likely you're going to die and it's not going to be the things, because you're not going to live 200k ticks. And then this is the spell mechanic. Unlike earlier, this is going to appear on both upstairs and downstairs people. And we'll clear the room in whatever way that ends up looking like. But that's it for the fight. So just to go over some timers, group 1 will be going downstairs around 20 seconds, and then group 2 will be going downstairs around 110. This one at 219, there's only exists on Mythic. There's 219, 606, 953, that's only Mythic. So on normal Heroic, group 1 is 19, 4 minutes, 750. Group 2 will be 110, 5 minutes, 840. And then on Mythic, that of course swaps just because there's extra. There's a chance that the debuff might run out, because it's only a 90-second debuff. But this looks closer than 90 seconds. This is 80 seconds. So this would be group 1 going downstairs at 20, 220, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and then 950. Group 2 would be 111, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 845. You don't really have to know all too much about these timings. Realistically, just look at orgs, figure out what your spec is doing, and then if I assign you to the one group, you should just ask me, hey, Writer, you should be assigning me to group 2. And I'll most likely have a reasoning for why I assign you to one group or the other. And if it makes sense for me to swap, I'll swap you. And just some quick stuff for the raid plan, just to go over what it looks like. You have the tank busters, splitting up the groups. This is the Mythic stuff where you have the downstairs group and the upstairs group. And then it talks about the ads. The Haunting Essence needs to kick. This is the tank ad. The rest of the ad you just group up. And then they're killing it decent ways away. They're trying to put it on the markers. This will most likely not happen. It's most likely just going to be 2 people in the center, and then 2 people just have to go down. I don't believe it was always consistent with 1 DPS or 1 healer, but if it's this way, then it'll be a lot easier to work with. And then they talk about the phase 2 stuff. Alright, that's it for Chimaerus.